Started in this morning live. I would like to start out by wishing everybody a happy Easter. I know most wouldn't probably expect to be doing a live on Easter morning, but I like to keep their same routine if I can, no matter what is going on. I kind of work around the schedule. This morning, instead of going to the 11 o'clock Mass, I went to the 9 a.m. Mass for Easter Sunday Vigil, so I was able to do that. And then I've got a lot of stuff to do after, because we have an Easter party at our house at like 2:30 p.m. So I want to do my live. I wanted to do this for about an hour, and then I'm going to hide some Easter eggs and do some stuff that I have to do. Get the house ready and whatnot. We're making a ham and then like a whole chicken today too, I think, which is already set up. But it'll be a good day. It'll be a good day. Now, going to crypto, and don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on this beautiful day as Christ is risen. And, you know, we want to stay humble and show humility, but show grace to each other, especially on today. You know, a day like today, regardless of what you think or what you believe, it's more about an overall peace and helping hand, let's just say, for each other. Now, we look at crypto, and we've got this narrative that's been building of down, down, down the last 17 weekends. This makes it Sunday number 18 in this long journey of these weekends that have gone horribly wrong. One would say, or others would say, like myself, that this is what was needed. We had to correct from the all-time high push, especially when you look at something like Bitcoin or how XRP came nearly up to $3.40. It was about $3.40, you know, and it came up from 38 cents just prior to the move up months before. So it had to have a healthy correction. I am, like I've said from the beginning, I'm very disappointed with the drop when it went to $1.61, $1.62, because I thought we could have took out that fair value gap at $1.50 that was glaringly sitting there. And yeah, you could go all the way down to $1.38, but that's not because of the FVG itself. That's because you go down to a layer of support that even you could say extends down to about $1.34, but you come down into a weird range there where we were getting supported before the parabolic run up to push us over $3 for the first time since 2017. Hell, over $2 for the first time since what, 2018? So it helped us push over some pretty incredible levels that we failed to do in the 21 rally, where we got hindered at $1.98. However, what I'm looking at here is, are we gonna, let's just say, the past doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So people always say the past repeats itself. I disagree. I think the past it doesn't necessarily repeat itself. I think it rhymes though. So I always say the past doesn't repeat itself, but it always rhymes. So it's not going to be identical, but you're going to see different areas that might lead you to the same conclusion of something that might be a likely outcome. So it gives you a little bit of a predictive nature. So now we're looking back a year ago, and we've talked about this the last couple days in the live. And if you're familiar with my program or you've missed for a few days, I started a new way of doing my presentation during the lives. First half hour or so, I don't look at the comments. I don't care how many people are in here. I do care, but I'm not looking at it. So if you have any questions, the best thing you can do, I mean, if you want it to be highlighted, you can send a YouTube super chat. So when I get done going over this for the first half hour, 35 minutes, we spend about 25 minutes together going over questions, I go over and thank everybody and things like that. So if you want to make sure I see your comment, you can always send a super chat, be part of Tom's Army because you're highlighted. So I always see the members of Tom's Army's comments because they're highlighted. That doesn't mean I'm going to answer them all, but I will say thank you, you know, for being part of Tom's Army and things like that. But I want to keep this flowing. And I found the last couple of days I put out my best work because it's been uninterrupted. And then I had a lot of fun the last 25 minutes or so just going back and forth with everybody. So the emphasis on the information will be more in the front, and then we'll go over what we need to. But the narrative that I believe is building right now is, do we do what we did 1 year ago? So the 2.5 weeks following Easter, and on Easter into the Monday, we dropped about 14% or so. But then we recovered most losses Monday into that Tuesday after Easter Sunday. We paired all losses, got back around that 62-cent mark where we were at to start Easter last year. A big difference, right? So everybody who says the price never moves, It was at 62 cents and some change last year on Easter Sunday, 2024. Are we at 64 cents? Are we even at $1.64? No, we're at $2.05 on this Easter. So that played out narrative that XRP never moves, it's played out. Because I could look at 95% of the market and say, oh, it never moves because it's lower than it was in 21. But yeah, we're going to look at XRP when it's over the price of 20. Consider that. XRP is higher than it was in 2021 at the peak of the bull market. So before we come in here and we mope and we piss and moan and, you know, we act like the sky's falling and XRP's a pile of shit because the price never appreciates, maybe we should look at the reality of things. Everything but XRP, for the most part, doesn't appreciate. I can pretty much point to everything from 2021 and it's lower right now, aside from Bitcoin. You can look at pretty much the whole chart. XLM's way below 21. DGB's way below 21. ZIL's way below 21. VeChain's way below 21. Hell, where was HBAR at in 21? I know we've got a tremendous run up now, but you want to call a spade, folks. Let's go back to 21. I mean, we're way, way below 21. Not even close. XDC, everybody talks about way below 21. I mean, I can go to anything but Bitcoin. Ethereum, way, way below 21. Cut it in half and then some. IOTA, not even on the same friggin' playing field as 21. Like, let's be real. Algo, not even friggin' close. We are not even in the same realm as we were in 21. Like, you got to cut off a 0 and then some. Like, and everybody talks about how XRP doesn't move. Wait a minute. What's the one anomaly here from 21? Oh, shit. XRP's over 2021 pricing at the peak of the bull market. So how exactly is XRP getting this continued, and I think it's just a bunch of hooey, but this continued false perception that XRP never moves. In fact, if you would have invested in anything other than XRP for the majority, you'd be getting your ass kicked right now. Just calling a spade. Even in the bear market of 23, most things are still down from the bear market. Now, some things have come up, and it changes the model just a little bit. But if we go back to the 21 bull market, are any other things besides XRP actually in a bull market? I dare say no besides Bitcoin. If you want to measure it from 21, the only thing in a bear market on this entire fucking page is XRP and Bitcoin. There is not a single other token on my list that's in a bull market going back to 21 on this front page than XRP. Not even my mining stocks are in a bull market. They're similar pricing as 21, but it's not a bull market. Maybe a couple of them, like Fortuna Silver Mines, that peaked down at, like, it went all the way down to 2 something. Okay. But, like, that's what I mean. Like, let's take it. Like, we all need to take one giant step back, right? We got to take a giant step back and be like, listen, I understand most altcoins are in a bear market from 21, but not XRP. Yes, we're in a bear market in 25 from the peak of this bull market because we've come down so much, but we are still absolutely parabolic from where we were at in 21 and the downturn and where we're back now. Again, going back to March of 2021 when I started the show, and I've never missed a day since March 24th when I started. I've only seen XRP over $2 in the last couple of months. I've never seen it in the first 3.5 years. So, like, when people are like, oh, Tom, XRP's, it never moves. We're never going to make any money. Like, if you would have invested in any other pile of shit in 21 besides XRP after they came down, or from the peak, sure, you could say that. But not XRP. Let's not play that game. Like I just did, I played devil's advocate with everybody who plays that played out narrative. It might not ever do anything for you because you invested at the wrong time. Okay, that's different. Just admit to yourself you didn't invest at the right time. And now you have to acknowledge it's back in a bear market. But this bear market for XRP is not at 50 cents. It's not at 30 cents. It's not at $1. Hell, it's not even at $1.50 right now. We're at $2.05. DGB flipped to 0, for fuck's sake. ZIL had recently flipped to 0 before its recent 16% up move, or 20%. You know, H-bar is not even at 20 cents. XLM's not even at 25 cents. XDC's at 7 friggin' cents. You know, IOTA is at 16.3 cents. It was up at $6. Algo was up way past $2. It's at 19 cents. So I don't know what everybody else watches or what most people are seeing, but please don't come in here and be like XRP never moves. No, what it's telling me is you didn't buy it in the bear market and you bought the one token that went up a fucking gazillion because of the rhetoric. So now I ask the question again. Will XRP and crypto, but we'll base it on XRP right now, do the exact same thing as last year? Where XRP in the following 2.5 weeks after Easter, starting on Easter and then had a little consolidation back up and then dropped the hammer again. It dropped better than 32% in the 17 days, including Easter. From Easter to 17 days past Easter, it dropped 32%. From Easter to 17 days forward. So, are we going to have the same repeat? So, I asked myself, well, Tom, you're not afraid to look at the truth. And if it falls out, what does that mean? Okay, well, if it falls out, where's 32% from where we're at right now? Because during Easter Day, before we started the celebration for the most part in the morning, we were at about 62 cents. So, and we know we culminated with a drop down to 38 cents at its peak. No, not 38. That was later. 60. Oh, actually, you know what? It did. It had a big drop down. But anyhow, $2.07, 32%. I think it's pretty fascinating where it brings us. If we drop, let's just say 30%. But that brings you down into that area we talked about on the FVG. So, are we going to have a similar event occur? And we're going to start filling out this gap? And then we're going to, remember we talked all the way down to $1.38? B, do we not fall out that much? And we follow the one of two very lucrative routes it can take. Mind you, we've talked about Route 1 that it's taking right now. I'm just not too confident that it can pull it off. Remember yesterday I kept talking about how I felt like we'd come down to start at least. And we came down some, but not much. We've still at least holding this integrity. Because that daily candle yesterday looked like it was going to start us off a little bearish to start today. And it did. And the thing that sucks is we made a new low. And now we're back testing the breakdown of the new candle low. So at least we identified that candle yesterday properly. And we knew that it was more of a gravestone. I didn't see much of a top end pressure there. So it was looking more like a downward tug to start. And that's what's happened so far. Now, do we get the carry through? And if we get carry through, yes, that $1.62 is farther down, but you can't even look at that kind of a carry out or carry over or down or breakdown until we can validate whether or not we can stay above here. And this is that kind of area we talked about yesterday if you were here. If not, you're not going to know. But that's basically that 204, 203 at worst. And then if not, it comes down here, fills out this shorter pattern. And if you're new, this is like the inverse head and shoulders. You've got two options here to take out a very bullish route. $1.83 would be the more, I think, the more seasoned route that you would normally see, especially after putting in what looks like a topping reversal here and then a right arm that's kind of dragged out a long time. So maybe it can pull out. We'll see. But it does seem like we'd have to come down and fill that $1.83 area to make this like a very nice looking, feels like a very nice looking pattern that would be set up here. If we pull down to that, man, that sun is bright. No wonder I have the hat on. Whew. That $1.83 range. So that's what I'm looking at here. But let me do the intro on this beautiful Easter Sunday as our Lord and Savior Yahweh is risen. Yeshua, I don't care how you say it, Jesus Christ has risen. And you know, it's a glorious day if we look at it for what it is. If we understand things kind of happen outside of just what we can control, but we can certainly circumvent things and put things in our own reality by keeping things, you know, more true to what we believe. And you know, when you surround yourself by people, and not just people, but you present your own ideas that resonate with yourself, you're going to find people that are similar in attributes. And that's what we find in this community. So what am I thankful for on this Easter? I'm thankful for this community, very much so, because it's a lot of fellow humans that believe the same things as I do and have the same, let's just say, way of presenting themselves in a certain level of integrity to where you're not hateful or hurtful. You're positive, not negative. You're kind, not rude. I hate rude people. You are loving, like that power of love and peace and transcendingness, instead of that hate, evil, you know, the gloominess. I don't like dark. I like dark and gloomy when it comes to the sky and like storms, but I don't like dark and gloomy people. Like I used to be dark and gloomy. I like that power of positivity. I like the winner, not the victim. If there's one thing I can't stand in this world, it's somebody playing the victim. I can't do it because of my race. I can't do it because I'm broke. I can't do it because the government told me I can't. I can't do it because big business is taking all the damn profits. I can't do it because those damn greedy corporations and GMs and all these motherfuckers are stealing all of my money. I can't do it because the government doesn't give me enough help. You know, stop with all of that. You can do it. That's what I'm here to tell you. Black, white, I don't give a rat's ass what your nationality is. I've dated both races. We're both equally fucked, if you want to know the truth. So most of my life I dated the black race too, so I understand, you know, and not the white race. So I understand. I'm an Italian and Lebanese, so I used to get called a sand, well, I can't say the sand Negro, but that's what I used to get called all the time when I was a kid. A sand flea, sand, you know what? You can figure it out. You know, it was a whole bunch of stuff. I think we're all equally fucked. So I think that's one thing we have in common, that we're all screwed up. And that's how it's supposed to be. We're all individually our own person. So that's how it's supposed to be. But I believe they use the tool that we can't do anything because of everybody else so that we don't actually do anything. We stay fighting with each other instead of helping each other. And then instead of seeing the bigger picture, it's always, oh, the blue guy did it. The red fucker did it. No, we did it by not doing anything except believing the narrative. So I'm going to get off this topic like JW would say. Tom, you may have offended everybody or nobody. Who knows? I don't know because I'm not looking, you know, so, but I will see shortly, you know, once I start looking at comments, that I would say about, well, we'll give it until about 11:20 in case I piss some people off just now. The good news is it's Easter. There's probably not that many people watching. The bad news is I'm usually wrong when I say that. The good news is you're hearing me for who I am. The bad news is you might not like it. So with that being said, good morning. 11:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Sunday, April 20th, 2025. 420, mind you. What a day to make Easter. I'm XRP future millionaire with the side bet on XM and future Digibite. OG, and the Lord has risen, and we will all be rising with the Lord soon. I've had my bread and his blood, but the body and blood of Christ. But it is 420, so we're all going to rise together as well. So I think sometimes it's nice to just take a moment, step back. I don't smoke nicotine, so if you're watching me and you're always like, oh, this guy, what is he smoking? It's cannabis. I like to smoke the plant. I don't like the vape pens or any of that crap because I think that's how they poison us. I like the plant. Particularly the bowl, but when I'm doing this, I'll smoke a joint. I don't want people to start saying, oh, Tom's using the crack pipe on this live. So, you know, we'll keep it professional. But now if you're new, this is basically a metric. So I was trying to figure out a way, if you're newer, to understand the bottom line. If we stay bullish, how far down could the potential actually come so you would know if it's a good buy in the moment or what the downside potential. This started at about 24%, mind you. Now it's at about an 11.2% gap. Now, the beauty of this is if we hold here, you've almost hit the nuts. If we hold this top potential, you've almost hit it on the head. So about $2.03 is the best possibility you could do if it stays here. Is it going to stay here? That's the question of all questions. And there is some evidence here that we could stay here. We broke down into the first of two very lucrative patterns. Then you would have to break up and back test, which we're doing right now. Otherwise, you just fall through, and I don't think the $1.99 would hold if this falls, unless it comes back to the apex zone which could bring us out right around April 23rd. Love me or hate me, I only play by 2 rules. Our Lord's and my own. So, in my own, I mean a lot of integrity, you know, a lot of giving instead of taking, a lot of helping, you know, just doing things for others instead of myself has always made me the happiest. But I live with a code, so if you come in here and you dick around or you're trying to make people feel bad, I have no problem telling you to get out. You know, but usually, I mean, I don't do this for the money, so there's not much you can do to bother me in that regard, as long as you're coming to watch. Sure, I do appreciate members of Tom's Army. Sure, I do appreciate the YouTube Super Chats, but that's only because I do this every single day on repeat and put in a lot of man hours to try to do this, and I like when people pay it forward. That's what I do in my normal life, you know, so it makes me feel good. But for the monetary gain, that's not why I do this. So we can do this at a certain level that I think most can't. That's why I don't do sponsorships. I don't repeat all this nonsense all day. But this is, and why you don't have to sit through, besides YouTube advertising, because, you know, that's why they push my channel, because they can make revenue off of all of us, including myself, by showing me the same bullshit over and over. But we can kind of shimmy through this pretty good. So when you see this line right here, that is where we've got to get back above. Even though we're on the top here, we've got to get back above this little short-term drop. And it's so that we can validate getting back above this resistance. We really do. I could actually make this a little higher because I think the zone's going to actually come up, even if it's bearish. So we got to stay with the times. That's the reason I like doing this in the lives. So I would say right about here. So it actually, that's only about 0.25%, but it is a little bit of a difference. So I could see us coming up there, even if we're going to be rejected, because this is the old breakdown back here. We had a little gap to the top after a drop. So if we're filling the gap, just for a further drop, I mean, 2065 is not a bad opportunity to come back up to. I mean, it doesn't really get us out of the woods, but it's almost like the J hook is being formed, and you don't want the J hook. The J hook is when it starts coming back up after what looks like almost a bear flag is forming with no volume. It forms what I call the J hook. You get a couple of bullish candles in the shorter term, but there's no real volume. And then once you get to the make it or break it point, which is usually the gap of the drop, it's got no steam. So now we're looking at that 2066.7. I think firm. And then we'll see if it comes back through that area. You know, so far it's 11 o'clock in the morning and we haven't come through there yet, but we're working on it in the hourly. Let's see if we can come back up there. Bitcoin, I mean, if you want to start talking about being let down here, you know, it is sideways consolidating still. It's just we've had this bearish cross in the smaller time frame. I dare say the half hour is probably working on a golden cross here. Oh yeah, it's right at the rejection point. So in the 30-minute, could come up a little bit higher, maybe 84,720. But if it gets a rejection there, that's a telltale sign that it's going horribly wrong. This was a head and shoulders topping reversal like we thought, but now it's come back down and reset the early part. Now, if it's just this short-term pattern playing out, it could reset here and then double bottom or just come up, but this looks like shit right now. Like, I'm just telling you, this is starting to form like shit. And I only say that because there's no volume. I can't even see, but I don't need to see there's no volume. And at least if you're watching when I do it, you're not gonna guess what I think about this. Like, keywords, it looks like shit. There's no volume. We're gonna have to do something in a hurry to get past these. I mean, these are all negative attributes that we're showing right now, but it doesn't mean it's over. Like, look at it positive and the negative. The positive here is you don't have to guess. The negative is you don't have to guess. And you can see what's likely going to happen. Now, the good news is if it takes the up route and it holds this support, we know that we're about to go parabolic quickly. Because we've already taken one of the two lucrative routes. And the one, we bounced off of it. Now we're looking to see if we back test. If that doesn't hold, the second one's down at $1.83. If that doesn't hold, well, we took the third route, which is not so lucrative in the short term, but could be the most lucrative in the long term if we can fill that $1.50 gap. Man, I commend some people. This lady's running on Easter. You know? I mean, I'll do my 6,000 plus steps today. I've already done over like 3,500. But I mean, to go out here and run, that's, I used to do that on Easter. I'd go to the gym. I was a little psychotic. Be like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym before I eat all this food. Oh, yeah, that was real good. That just leads into a very poor mindset. Like, oh, now I got to work out before I eat. Like, that's not exactly the sanest. Or I'm not eating until I work out. Then you start forming that, let's not even get into that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing nothing that's changing my mindset here on Easter. Could we get the old faithful rally here? Well, we didn't get it last year on Easter, so it's not so faithful. Oftentimes, I see on the holidays, they kind of dump it on us while we're rejoicing with our families. Anybody remember Easter, Christmas of 24? Right after these massive rallies, what'd they do? They cut our balls off. Literally. At least on December 18th, I gave a little heads up like, this don't look good. And that was the day after my birthday. I said, oh, shit. I was so happy on the live on my birthday on the 17th. But then on the 18th, I'm like, oh boy. Oh, boy. This is never a good day for me because that's when I broke my back in 2006 in a car accident on December 18th, the day after my 23rd birthday. And then every year, the 18th always seems to grab me by the balls and twist in some way or another. And last year was just my portfolio twisted. And leave you a little, you know. Hi, Mimi. Happy Easter. So, I guess I'll see what time it is. 27 minutes in. We're pretty close to that half hour. 126 people here. So the good news is you guys stuck around. 70 likes. Now we'll go into the comments real quick. See what my past verbiage has led me to. Let's see what we got going on. Hold on, it's loading up. There we go. Alright, let's see. Jorge, welcome in, and thanks for being in time zone for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor, and also a very trusted mod. Kryptonian, welcome in, and thanks for being in time zone for over 1 year. I really appreciate that. Standing in line at local dispensary for free goodies. It's like Green Sunday. That's what I was saying. They made 420 on an interesting day. It's almost like they don't want us to celebrate the Lord and Savior to make it on 420. You know, so it's a pretty interesting day that we have designated for Easter this year. James, welcome in along with the Fine Group. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News, along with James Dula. Shane, good morning, friend, and happy Easter to all of you. Timothy, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 3rd+ month with the XP Meteor, along with McMichael. Love it. You are not going to offend me. Nope. I hope not. Rick, welcome in. Jennifer, good morning, and I really appreciate seeing you here. The Kupiaks are in the house. Well, some of the Kupiaks. Hopefully you're having a blessed Easter so far, Jennifer. Let's see. Rick, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod. Very long-term mod. Senzo, welcome in. Let's see. Yeah, we are going to have to move your desk to the store. Yeah, we probably are. Yeah, defined open negative. We're going to the moon. Pack your bags. Hey, eventually, in some senses, I argue we've already gone to the short-term moon. Because while all these other tokens are down like 85, 90%, XRP is the only one that I can look at besides Bitcoin that's above its 2021 high. Hell, most of them aren't even within 75%. DGB is not even within 99%. So, you know. And all of you that are going to church or are about to be, or make sure you say a prayer for everybody, you know. Let's see. What does it mean when you have multiple rising wedges where each is smaller than the other? It means that we're in some trouble, my friend. The thing that made me understand we were in big trouble, it was a very large rising wedge on a certain token. One that everybody loves for some reason, that I hate. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people like Ethereum. And I just don't understand. It's a pile of shit. The first time I ever used it and seen the fee it was charging me, I'm like, this thing's a pile of shit. Well, you guys, this thing sucks. You can charge me all this money to send my own money? What the Anyhow, big rising wedge I discovered on Ethereum, and it played out too perfectly to where we couldn't ignore. And it even came back up to 4,000, and we're like, this don't seem right. And it dumped down and then came back up and tapped it again and got rejected. We're like, uh-oh. And then we proclaimed, you know, if this is a rising wedge, and at the time nobody really wanted to listen, the technical target on a breakdown would be $496. Now that seemed idiotic at 4,000. I get it. But I mean, we're all the way down now to fucking 1,500. It doesn't seem as idiotic. Now we're one stop and a stope down now. Like, we are literally at that break point right now to where if we come back up to 1853 and get a firm rejection or not even come all the way up there, we've got a scenario here where, with the lack of cutting rates, with not being fully in quantitative, we're kind of in the middle right now. So you got to have some kind of, I've been looking at the markets like this. They've got to have a catastrophic events to cut rates and to go into quantitative easing and for the US dollar to be devalued. Trump ran on, he wanted to de-dollarize the dollar, which is idiotic. We live in the USA. For every other country, they should rejoice. If you live in the EU or anywhere else, China, fucking rejoice. But I'm not rejoicing because I live in the USA, which means, like right now, if you take inflation out of it, our $100 bill is only worth $99.22 to our own citizens, let alone the increase in inflation year over year. You know, and the gouging in prices. Notice how the pricing goes up in the grocery store so quickly when the dollar comes down. When it was at 106, it hides some of the poorness of the dollar because it's overinflated, and every $100 is being stretched out to actually $106 when you spend it. Nobody ever thinks about that in the USA or in your own native currency. When it's under 100, you've lost pairing. That's like the stable coin being under 1 to 1. You don't want to see it at $1.06. It's overinflated. That's not good for, that's not stable. Just like you don't want to see it at 94 cents. It's not stable. That's the same thing with the US dollar. You do not want to see it anywhere but 100. I don't care what anybody says. If it's at 100, that's like your bloodline. You know the dollar's where it needs to be. It's pretty stable. Other countries are getting roped in. I don't even know why they use our dollars, but now they're selling out of our government bonds. But it was a big cat and mouse game. Now we were losing pairing, which means everything we do becomes more expensive. So I've always asked this question: where the hell does the rally come in risk assets if everybody's friggin' broke? They take the money out of risk, they put it into safe haven, because I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says. Bitcoin nor any crypto that you can mention to me is gold or silver. It's not a store of value. I can't hold it in my hand. Yeah, it's not storing shit. The only thing crypto is doing is letting me hold on to a little bit of speculative funds, which is why I like it. And every single thing we say is speculative, whether you want to believe it or not. We're going into a digital system, speculative that we're going to use the crypto that how we say we are. We're going into an enhanced protocol with the ISO. It's speculative that XRP or any other one would ever be used because Swift is already integrated with the GTI or the GF, what is it, GTX or GTI? I always forget because there's so much shit. GTIX or GFI, I can't remember what it's called. But they integrated it and they partnered with HBAR. I believe it was HBAR. So like, Swift ain't going nowhere. So everybody thinks they're going to lose all this money. They're not. They did what Blockbuster wouldn't do. They adapted. They adapted very quickly on the fly. Instead of going away, they're going to be a very big player. So, you know, when we talk about all the money coming from Swift to go into XRP and to crypto, that's not true. Swift has already made the move to where they could do it alone, but they even got deeper with some of the big boys. So Swift is not going anywhere. I hate to break it to that bunch of people, because that's what I hear on a lot of influencers. Swift is going away and XRP Ripple is taking the show. Bullshit. Swift is not going anywhere. It's quite the opposite. Swift is going to be here loud, proud. They're going to be loud and proud. So we're going to have to deal with the Swift part, because that's already been denoted in the truth and the facts, because it's already been given to us in factual writings that we've seen and that's been put in. So we know it's true. 14 million supply on Quant. Quant does run the show when it comes to the larger things. It's kind of like the framework for the general token. Hey, that's what I did just a few hours ago. Define walking to church. Bless you, my friend. Gold, yes, Wales, Josie Wales. Gold is telling us everything we need to know. That is, truer words could not be spoken. Gold is telling us everything we need to know. Happy Easter, Jeremy. I'm just finishing this real quick. It's my show. Oh, you're fine, Jeremy. Yeah, some of the family's starting to get here a little earlier than I expected. But gold is telling us everything we need to know. Being at $3,326 an ounce, that is definitely telling you everything. Like, something's not right in the world. It's also telling you, because silver generally in history moves last, and it moves. So basically, silver ends up storing energy, because normally when gold moves, it's institutions buying gold, and the countries like China, all these different countries are storing gold. It's not generally retail. We don't buy shit, especially in the USA. Like, I think it's less than 3% of homes own gold and silver, and only 8% of homes in the USA have gold or silver, like any kind of exposure. And I mean like 1/10 of 1 ounce exposure. So not very many people, in fact, are having exposure to gold and silver. But generally, silver has a parabolic move at the end. It moves more than gold does during its rally, but it often stores energy and has a much bigger move at the end. So that's why I keep saying, like, silver right now is it's the best deal on planet Earth right now to buy. Even at $34 or $32.54. The reason why it is there's only been a few times in history the gold silver ratio has been higher than 102. It's not unprecedented, but it doesn't happen often. And when it does, you take advantage. The silver miners, which are now elevated about 30% in the last 2 weeks, even though they all were red to end the week, and they need to consolidate some. But all of these miners are priced at levels from like the $16, $17 to $20 range for silver, and the gold miners are priced at about $1,600 to $2,000 right now. So they're very much undervalued. And the best way to get gold is to get it out of the ground through the miners. But, you know, being Easter, I think I got my points out, because I do need to go help out with all this stuff. Julie's mom's here and her brother, so I'm gonna have to get ahead of schedule here. Blessed be the Lord, my Catholic brother. Hey, Wales, Josie Wales, thank you for the $4.99 donation, and also being in Tom's Army for over a year. Now, I really appreciate that. Amen. And I need to do one thing. I got a donation yesterday when I had just logged out and I seen it, and it was for zback. So I promised I would do zback when I first came, before I logged off. So zback right now, it's still, to me, it's not looking great. It's got caught up in another part of these patterns like the rest of the market. And, it had a chance earlier. Now, this is a very interesting candle. Like, that seems to be a very bearish gravestone, the way it pulled down. Like, those are not good news. Like, I haven't seen one that ugly in a long time. So, that's a pretty ugly 4-hour candle. Now, it didn't make a new low, but it doesn't give me much confidence there. So, it has a V shape, so I would say it's probably going to work back down. Probably, if it wants to form this V and have a nice recovery phase, it's probably going to have to come all the way down to this wick exhaustion at 00085. Now, if I'm wrong and it pulls up, you need to break this high up here to feel good at 115, because it could technically come up there first, but with that extreme wick pull down, I don't know. That's going to leave a lot to be desired, but I'll keep an eye on this. It's still very much within its consolidated phase. But I'm going to go, yeah. I need to go help out for Easter. Everybody, they're showing up earlier, which means that I was wrong. And they're not going to be here when I thought. But thank you, everybody, so much. I really appreciate it. Have a happy Easter. Don't, forget what the agenda is. Yeah, MXC's been making moves, but the bottom line is it's still not even at the 0.002 cents. So with all these moves, it hasn't even come back up to even its like 8th drop point. So it needs to make more moves. It's just all of the tokens are kind of in the same narrative. But the good thing about this is it's come up all the way from that's file. But the good news with this was it had come up over the support structure. Had struggling there. I mean, if you want to see something, Filecoin, that's at least was moving up. Maybe this is giving us some kind of positivity. It just got rejected at the 200 so far. But anyhow, I need to stop talking. Bless everybody. Thank you all so much. Have a